Hi, I'm P, and this is my podcast. Hey guys, so this is episode, is this the episode? I don't know what episode it is.
I think it's 35.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember.
I think your show, your podcast, the last one was episode 43. And then my brain was like, oh, so the next episode of his podcast is going to be episode 44. And I was like, this is episode 44, but it's not of my podcast. It's his other podcast. Anyway. Hey, this is P. This is my partner.
Hi. Hello.
Name's Lias or L. So P and L. One of my closest friends' name is also L. So we were the original L and P, but now this is L and P. This is a podcast with my partner and I. I posted some cues or like a space for some cues to be submitted for this episode. First, I actually am going to start with questions that I got that didn't have to do with this relationship podcast episode at all, because I don't want to, you people have asked this a while ago and I just want to answer them. So first question was, have you tried the 2-cup method? What was your result? How do you feel about this method of reality creation? Thank you, P. So the 2-cup method, I think I tried it once a long time ago, but like, I don't know. It just didn't really vibe with me, so I never did it again. That's I never thought about it again after that. That's all. Those are my only thoughts on the 2-cup method. Another question: what do you recommend for someone who feels detached from their spirituality but have a science-based upbringing where mystical concepts are looked down upon? I would ask yourself if you are looking down upon mystical concepts, and then hello laptop, and then I would ask yourself, part of yourself who does look down on those mystical concepts, talk to yourself and say like, okay, what can we do to resolve that? Because a part of yourself that you respect probably might be kind of like shunning you or shaming you. So have a conversation between the part of you that is cool with it and the part of you that is not. The next question. Hello, I'm a projector with a 3/6 ego intuitive projector. I'm having a hard time finding information on this authority. Okay, so I'm assuming ego, because if you're an ego with authority, you're an ego authority. So ego authority beings are all about willpower and what you feel is valuable and you doing what you want. So having a defined ego and having an ego authority means that your decision making is based off of what you want in the now moment, your desires. So what do you value? What do you think is important? What is your ego into? And also be very clear about your definition of ego, because people have a really wonky definition of ego, and ego is simply all of our character traits kind of boxed into a character is what our ego is. And it's the one that like walks us around the planet. It's like our little avatar. So what would your avatar do? Yeah. Okay, cool. So now for the submitted questions. I don't know, like, I'm not breathing right. I don't know if I'm nervous.
Why are you nervous?
I don't know. I was like,
no need to be nervous. It's okay. They're just questions.
I think maybe I was like trying to get through those really fast, and I was just
okay.
Oh.
A little winded.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about L for a second. L, what do you do? Who are you?
That's a really good question. What do I? Okay, who am I? Well, hi, I'm L. ELL. As most people might know me as L or Easy L. I'm whatever. Okay, so I'm a producer, singer, engineer, photographer, videographer, video editor. That's like everything that I think I do. I do a lot of stuff, and so I just, yeah, I don't, that's funny because I don't know how to talk about myself. I basically, I just do a lot of things and I'm always doing a bunch of different things as she can, she can tell you, you know, I just do a lot of stuff and I enjoy, you know, just chilling at the house, working out and I was like, but yeah, that's, I mean, I do a lot of things. And so
very talented. He's done so much really cool work. He enticed me on our first date. And he showed me some of the photography that he did, and that's probably what hooked me. I was like, excuse me, the talent.
That's hilarious.
I'm like, I like talent as a vibe, but he's great. He's also, for those of you who are into human design things, he is a 5/1 emotional authority manifesting generator. His sun is in the gate 55.
Yep. Yeah. What that means, so whatever that means.
So let's get into the question. I posted about this, and I had folks submit questions specifically around relationships and our relationship even. So I guess I'll start out with the one that makes the most sense to start out with first. And that one was, I want to find the actual specific question and not summarize it. The question is, how did you meet? Love story from A to now. Trident. They had a trident emoji, which I feel like is great. All right, so we met on an app called Hinge. The love story from my side started in February of that year of 2019 because that year I decided to get on Hinge in the first place because I was bored and I wanted to entertain myself, and dates were very entertaining, or at least I thought they were going to be entertaining. And I was like, I went into it like wanting to be entertained. And the first few dates that I had were like fun, but they weren't that great. And then I had a date where I was like, it was cool. And then I went from like trying to have fun to like, I'm trying to date someone because I don't know when the shift mentally happened, but that happened. And then I got sick in August, or I learned that I was sick in August after like playing around and doing whatever. And then because I got sick in August and I thought I was going to die, then I went from like thinking I was playing around and just having fun to like truly being like, I'm finna die. And so I'm just gonna like, I don't know, have fun. And then I was about to delete Hinge because I was like, this is no longer fun because people keep texting me. Like after I only wanted to have fun and like hang out and go on a date one time, they're just like, let's talk again. And I'm like, I don't want, what? I'm just trying to have fun, leave me alone. So I was gonna delete the app. Then I saw his picture and then I had a sacral response and I was like, woo! Like it was like this like, I don't know, it was this like fun type of energy that I received. And so I clicked the little hearty thing. And then I guess he also hearted, and then we started from there. So that was point A. That's why it began in February. And then we went on our first date, and then now we're here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's about the same. I think I was looking to date. I know for me, I had got out of a relationship prior to getting on Hinge, like a year and a half. And then I wanted to take a year or 2 years off to kind of focus on myself to really, see who I was and who I am. And then I think after that, I think there came a moment in time for me where I think I was like looking and like I was pursuing, like trying to pursue, potential partners. And, but it wasn't really working out. And I was like, man, what's going on? And then I think I was just like, you know what? I'm tired of pursuing these people and nothing happened, and I'm just tired of doing that. So then I said, you know what, I'm just gonna focus on me. And then once I felt like there was something in me that I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to date and I'm actually ready to pursue someone. And I told myself from leaving the previous relationship that I was like, the next person that I want to date, I'm like, listen, they gotta have a good head on their shoulders and they gotta be like, nice or whatever. And then I went on Hinge and I was like, but I'm taking my time. I'm not rushing through anything because that's one thing about me. I used to kind of rush through things and not really get to know the person. But then I was like, well, no, the next relationship I'm into is going to be the relationship. And so then I came across your page and I was like, ooh, she's cute. I was like, okay, but what's in that brain? What's in that noggin? That's what I was thinking. And I was like, what are we doing here? And then And then like I remember we messaged and I was like, wow, she has great taste in music. And I was like, she's pretty and she has a very interesting story. So we went out on a date. And I remember from the date, like I was really interested because she did stuff that I knew nothing about, even still don't know a lot about like human design or I'm not that well versed in that area. And I was like, wow, that's crazy that you do this. That's so interesting. And then I liked her and I just wanted to keep pursuing her. And so I just kept, asking you out and saying, hey, what's going on? And then I was like, I like this direction, I like the way it's going. I feel good here. I feel safe. And then I mean, we got here. And so we just went like that for a while until I think one day I was like, I want a relationship. That's what I said. I asked her first and I was like, excuse me, what are we doing here? I want a relationship. And then she wasn't too sure. And I was like, okay. And then
you ignored the fact that I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I think it's because I think I just hoped for the best,
He's also hope motivation in human design.
Oh.
But
I don't know what that means. But yeah, I just was like, because I remember you told me you were like, I don't know if this is going to work. I was like, well, listen, this is what I want. I'm just letting it be known. I just was kind of like, well, this is what I want, And, I'm just going to be here because I think internally I was like, I think she wants the same thing, but I think it's taken her a little longer to get there than it did for me, And then eventually I remember you told me one day you were like, I want to be in a relationship with you. And I was like,
okay.
And then I was like, cool, you're finally here. Welcome. I was like, welcome. I've been here forever, And then, now we've been dating for October 1st was 2 years. We've been in a relationship together.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
It's funny. I think someone else submitted the question of like, who admitted feelings or like wanted to be in a relationship first or something like that. And so you answered it. It's funny because he said that he wanted to be in a relationship and I was like, I don't know. And he ignored that. And then brought it up like a couple weeks later. He's just like, well, yeah, because, you're my partner or something. And I was like, I'm your what? Like, who said that? When did we establish? Because I don't know. I got really, because I'm also a Scorpio, if everyone didn't know that. And we take a second to like, if like bonding with someone, like my best friend stalked me for 2 months because like I'm just very slow when it comes to getting close to someone. Now, loving someone, I said I love you first, which I'll get to later, but yeah, I definitely that was the thing. All right, so this question was interesting. Someone said, do you think you decide to make someone your person, or do you think you discover it? And I feel like it's low-key one and the same. I feel like the discovery and the creation happens at the same time, because I remember telling my friend of maybe like a year after we met, I remember telling her, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I created him. Like I summoned him from some sort of, I don't know, pit where there are clay beings waiting, golems, and I called forth a golem and made it my partner. Because sometimes it really feels like there's so many things that, I don't know, it feels like only I could have appreciated this trait, or like, so not that other people couldn't have appreciated, but like I feel like I appreciate it in the way that it needs to be appreciated. But yeah, so I feel like I also sometimes have to, like in moments where maybe I'm not as like, this is so perfect, I have to kind of like rediscover my connection. And so I feel like I think it's both.
And so then the question was, do you think you make the person your partner or you discover, right? Is that the question?
Yeah, they said, do you think you decide to make someone your person, or do you think you discover it?
I think kind of like you're saying, I almost feel like it's a little bit one and the same, but I think for me, I think it's just leans a little bit more towards you discover, because like I think, well, at least that's how it is for me, because I mean, I think one thing, let me make sure it's short, say this in short. I don't want to be long-winded, but I think for you, I thought, I was like, wow, you're very attractive. And then my brain immediately goes, okay, cool. Like, being attractive is great. That's a great thing. But I'm always looking for, but what else can you do? Like, what else do you got?
What
like,
you got in them brains?
Yeah, what do you got in that brain? Like, what are you thinking? You know, what are your goals? How are you? How do you?
Hot chip.
Yeah. And so I'm just, I think as we dated, I think I kept discovering like, yeah, I like this. I like this. I didn't more so make you my partner. Maybe when I was just like, well, this is what I want. I was like, well, I don't want to force you into anything, but I more so as we kept dating and dating and dating, I was like, I really enjoy spending time with you and being with you. So why wouldn't I want you to be around all the time, And because I'm very big on not forcing people to do anything, because I don't like to be forced to do anything. I have a problem with authority, and I don't like people telling me how to live my life. And so, yeah, and so I just kept discovering, or like I would discover things about you that I liked, because I pay attention to a lot of detail when it comes to you, to what makes you happy, how do you feel about certain things, what do you laugh at, and my brain like jots down these notes of like, she likes these things, so let me write this down in my brain. Let me do this, da da da. And then I'm like, keep a mental notes, so that way maybe on another day I can do this to surprise you and things like that.
I want to bring up left. So his top 2 arrows in human design are left facing and mine are right. And so his ability to like jot down and like take notice of things is so wild to me. He like memorizes things, and I'm like, how did you remember that? Mm-hmm. When did I even say that? Because I don't remember. It's wild.
Yeah, I think it's probably because like I think I've always been like that, and so I always pay attention. I try to see how you react to certain things. Yeah, so like I pay attention to details, like the things that happen in our relationship. I always pay attention to how you react to them, because the whole thing for me is like, why wouldn't I want to bring more joy to you? Or why wouldn't I want to do more things for you that you enjoy, With the exception of like certain things, I'm like, okay, I can't do that.
Still won't kill that person. It's fine.
But yeah, so like I've always been like that, detailed, and so like I just pay attention to like the way she reacts to things that I do or things that she does, that I'm like, okay, she likes this, she likes that. Just like I pay attention to that, and I pay attention to how you talk when you say certain things, Because if you're talking happy about something that you did, I'm like, okay, bet she likes that.
Next question. Twin flame, thoughts/opinions, LOL.
I don't know what a twin flame is. I think I've heard it once in my life, but I don't know what that is.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know. So for me, the first time I ever like heard of the concept of twin flame, I'm a very visually driven person. And whenever I saw the word twin flame, it was around one of those like very dramatic, like the spiritual art. You know what I'm talking about. Like there's like this genre of art that is like spiritual art. And I would always see twin flame, and I would see this very dramatic spiritual art, and I just thought it was very visually unappealing. And I'm like, ew, I don't like that. Like I just never looked at it again. That's truly my only experience with twin flames. I would see people like describing it, and I'm like, ew, like that. And that's just, I don't know. And it never appealed to me. I didn't like the visuals that went with the word twin flame, which is wild. So I never thought about that experience. And then I started hearing about twin flame things for real. I think it was after, like when I first started hearing about it and not just seeing like the weird images on Instagram, I heard about it more on like podcasts and stuff like that when we were already dating. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't think we're twin flames. I don't know. I don't really have thoughts on it other than like they pair really ugly art with, let me not say ugly. To me, it's just not cute. I don't like the type of art. And they keep pairing it with the word twin flame, and I wish they would stop. Twin flames need better PR.
Is twin flames like, it kind of sounds like soulmates, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's like to teach you spiritual lessons, allegedly. But to me, it sounds like people like romanticizing toxic relationships.
Well, I think I remember hearing about it like literally like years ago when I first moved to Atlanta from a friend, and it doesn't make sense to me, because it's like, I guess this person, it sounds like a soulmate, that because my brain was like, that's soulmate thing or whatever. And like, I've literally have never heard it in my life until I moved here to Atlanta.
Atlanta has this like weird hippie movement happening.
I think if I don't know if I necessarily believe in it, I think it's more so like, because twin flames necessarily is that like romantic, or is it more so?
Yeah, I think so. For the most part, when people usually talk about it.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I mean, if you believe in it, you believe in it. I really don't.
Exactly.
But
I don't think it's like not real because people are obviously having very real experiences with it. I just, I don't know. It seems like something that I would not like to participate in. But I also realize that I don't like learning a lot of lessons through like partnership maybe. So that could be it. Like that's not how I learn my lessons. Yeah. I'm going to scroll to another screenshot because I don't want to stay all on the same page.
Okay.
There's so many. Haha, P. It's for me. How did you get over your initial feelings of disgust at being in love? So I posted in my story about how I used to be like, when I first fell in love with him, I was truly disgusted with myself. And that's what prompted this question. And I think there was like another question in here about that. So I had to laugh at myself. I had to laugh and be like, you're being ridiculous. Like, you're allowed to fall in love. It's okay. It's not cheesy. I realized that I think everything is cheesy and everything is corny and I need to stop. But with love, it took me a second. I thought I was in love before because I had a previous relationship back in like 2016 or something like that. Thought I was in love. What actually was happening, I think, is I was being pursued and then I stopped getting pursued. And then I was like, wait, excuse me. And then I was just like, you should be pursuing me. And I thought that was love for like 2 years. And it wasn't actually love. And then when I actually fell in love with him, I was like, oh, gross. Like, it feels like my heart is melting into my body and I want to meld sort of with him. And I'm like, what? And I felt very disturbed by that. And so I just laughed because I'm like, people like want this and look at you literally pushing the idea of it away in disgust. And people like live for this, right? And I love the idea of romance. I don't do rom-coms that much, but I like the idea of love. Like, I love love. I feel like it's a very beautiful concept. But for some reason, me doing it just felt like, excuse me, we don't do that. So just laughing at myself and noticing that like me being disgusted was very funny. I don't know. And that's truly how I got over it was I laughed at myself. But a story, I admitted that I was in love first. And he waited a good 2 weeks, or probably more than that, actually. I think it was like maybe a month after I said it.
But there's a reason why, like, because, so this is my thing. I have this thing with love where I as well almost like romanticized love. And I didn't look at love in a through a clear glass. It was more so rose colored tinted. So in previous relationships, I was like, this is love. And like almost every relationship was like, yep, this is it. And I would romanticize it and I would look past a lot of things. And coming out of my previous relationship before you, I was kind of like that. And I looked past a lot of red flags thinking that, no, but this is love and this is how it works or whatever. And then when I got out of there, I was like, okay, let's not do that because doing that has done nothing but cause you hurt. You get hurt and, you know, you get your heart broken or whatever. And it's really bad and it's not logical. So what I would do, I'm like, okay, you know, I think what would happen, I'd be like, okay, now is she saying that because it's the honeymoon phase right now? And you just kind of see me in this sort of like type of light where I just look amazing. But I was like, well, wait, like you should really get to know me and see me for even the things that maybe I might consider like not so great about me that I need to work on and stuff. And so I was like, well, let me wait because I don't want to just say it, even though I did like really like love you and like you and enjoy you and just love who you were. But I wanted to wait because I didn't want to ruin the relationship and be like, of course, I'm just saying it. I didn't want to say it just because she said it.
That's true. That's true.
I didn't want to say that just out of, you know, reaction. I wanted to be smart and be like, let me feel this more and let me actually spend some time and let's be smart about it because I cared a lot about the relationship and I didn't want it to go to waste. And I was like, well, it's whatever. She's going to feel a type of way. That's fine. But it's smarter to really think it through and feel it and see if it's genuine versus just being like, yeah, I'm going to say it because you said it, you know? Yeah. And that's how a lot of people get lost sometimes, you know?
Yeah. First, I was embarrassed about that. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I said I love you first. After making myself have to be okay with being in love, then I had to say it first and you didn't say it back. And then I was embarrassed. Of course I didn't like aim that at him at all. I did get like weird and embarrassed. And then I got mad because I'm like, I know you love me and you're not telling the truth. That's when I was just like, you're lying to either yourself or me, and I'm mad about it. And then I was just like, okay, whatever. He'll fall in love with it, or he'll say it eventually.
Yeah.
Because you're not just gonna sit here and not tell me that you love me. That's crazy.
I just wanted to take my time and be sure, you know. I didn't want, like I had said before I got in a relationship and met her, I was like, no, the next one, like, I'm taking my time. And I'm taking my time. So
Makes sense.
yeah.
It's just funny. Another question. Let's see. I'm gonna click another page just to make sure I'm. Did you guys like each other right away, or was there a courting process? So I had an initial, like, instinctual, intuitive reaction to him, and it felt like this secure bear feeling, like this like teddy bear felt safe. That was my brain. Literally, when I saw him for the first time, I was like, my teddy bear, and then I heard that, and then it went away. Because then we started talking on the actual date, and I'm like, this is hilarious. Because we're both Virgo moons. I think someone asked, like, what our moon signs are and stuff. But Pisces sun, Scorpio sun, Virgo moons. And so our first date, to me, it felt like we were interviewing each other. Like,
that's
hello.
Hilarious.
It was so funny because, I don't know, it just felt like we were both, like, analyzing each other, like, robotically on our first date. And it wasn't awkward. It was like purely analytical. Like it felt like there was no emotion, which was like wild for me. At least that's what I was experiencing. And I was like, this is so funny. And I'm like watching his brain. I can like see his brain tick. And it's very weird for me because my brain doesn't tick the way his brain does. But I'm like, the way this man's brain works is so wild.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it wasn't weird. I thought it was normal because to me, if like dates that I've gone on, how else do you get to know the person? You ask questions and you want to know why they love the thing that they love and the experiences and, you know, why they are where they're at. And so like, it's kind of like doing research, you know, like, cause if
the first line, I'm a second line.
Whatever that means, but, yeah. And so to me, it was like, I was just interested because I remember, I think, before, like you knew a lot of stuff about astrology and a lot of stuff about, like I think a little bit about human design.
Yeah.
When we first started dating.
I knew a lot.
Oh yeah, she knew a lot.
I was talking about it.
And so I was interested, like, I'm like, what do you, it was like a foreign language. And I was like, what do you mean that this all stuff, like, I don't get it. Like, and I was like, how did you get there and stuff? And then I think I was also interested because she has a lot of tattoos. And I was like, well, what do they mean? You know, because for me, I have tattoos. A lot of people don't see them because, like, I don't ever show them off like that. But each thing means something to me because of an experience or something that touched my soul or whatever. And I was like, you know, what is this? What is this? And I'm just interested because I was like, you're kind of looking at like how a person is made, you know. And I was like, wow, this is so interesting. I felt like a scientist doing research on something. And I'm like, wow, like, how did you get there? And how did you get here? How did this happen? And I was just interested and curious, you know? So.
Yeah, you were interested, but you were also like listing off your, kind of like you're giving your resume also at the same time.
Yeah.
It was really interesting.
That's hilarious.
But like, that was probably the first line vs like second line moment that I had that was so like, we do not process in the same way, which is really cool. Another question. Oh, wait, I wanted to. So, I mean, we were kind of immediately kind of cool, but funny story, we were both very suspicious of each other very quickly after we were cool. Yeah, I thought you were too nice, and so it made me think you were a serial killer for a very long time until I started talking about it with my coworkers. I worked at a crystal shop. There's this place called Modern Mystic. Probably shouldn't. Whatever. Modern Mystic, used to work there. And I was talking to my coworkers about it. I'm like, I met this man. He's real nice. And it's weird as fuck because I don't know, like, why. Like, to me, I'm like, if someone's being that nice, they want something. And I'm like, he wants my organs.
Oh, Lord.
Specifically. And so my coworkers were like, you're insane. You're literally insane. Then my friend was like, she's like, this is why I hate Scorpios. Y'all be.
That's hilarious.
She was also a Pisces. She's like, we're just nice. And I was like,
yeah. And then I thought you were part of a cult.
Yeah, because I lived.
Because she lived somewhere that seemed very cultish. And I was like, this is how they get you. And so I was like,
I lived on a farm.
yeah, she lived like on a farm, and I was just like, this ain't right.
I lived on a farm in a community center, but I was not. We were not in a community. Like it just happened to be that a lot of people, we all lived in separate places on this farm in the middle of the city of Atlanta, which is really interesting.
Sounds real cultish. Real cultish.
But we never like there were drum circles, but like we don't know who's in charge of them. Like we didn't commune together. We didn't have a joint belief.
I think
we'd sometimes eat together and then never see each other again. Like
yeah, I think whenever she mentioned drum circles, that was the first red flag. And then she talked about the person who owned the place and sounded very like someone who thought they were Jesus. Like
he's not. I don't know where he got that from because Noah is literally but that was the guy who owned it. He's a pothead.
The way she explained it, I was like, this dude sound like he trying to run something.
I didn't say shit about him other than the fact that he owned this property.
I remember hearing she said that he wore all white.
I did not say
and had long hair, and I was like, this dude thinks he's Jesus. This is not good. And so
that's absolutely not what I said.
That's exactly what I heard. I remember, and I was
that's so crazy because if you would have met Noah, he's like this. He like looks like this like just normal guy.
That's
like,
hilarious. But it's just the way that it was described and just the whole environment. I was just like, something don't seem right here. This is how they're just gonna take you in, and you're gonna be a part of a cult.
God, see, do you see how your projections be fucking you up? Because that's not what happened. And he's also not a murderer, obviously, because I'm still here. Although, fun story, I got high. Like I smoked weed, and I hadn't smoked weed for a long time because I needed a break from it. But I smoked weed the first time we moved in together, and that first night, I was like, now's the day. I'm like, I know I decided that he wasn't a murderer a long time ago, but he just waits till he moves in with you and then he gets you.
So
and then
weird.
I threw all my weed away because I was like, this is insane.
That's hilarious.
So I threw all my weed away that night because I was just like, yeah, that makes me a little crazy. I can't be doing that all the time.
That's hilarious. And here I am just trying to work, provide, and be, in a nice relationship. That's all I want.
Anyway.
Next question.
Next question. How important is spirituality in your relationship? We don't really talk about it. I know he believes in something, a God.
Yeah. So for me, like it's so interesting, like that question, because like it's so interesting how some people kind of like, they got to be like, you got to be Christian or you got to be this religion. And for me, I really don't care. And like to me, it doesn't matter. My whole thing is like for me, I do believe that there's something that created us. Now, whether or not that is what Christianity kind of says it is, I don't know if that's true, because it's like, I mean, we talked about this the other day. I was like, a man wrote that book, supposedly, that God said talk to this one person. I'm like, really? This is the only person he or she or whatever they talk to? It seems kind of crazy to me. And then like this one person, and then it just seems kind of wild, that idea. But I think I figured out in college a lot of stuff about like, there's a lot of stuff that happens in the world to me that just doesn't seem like it happened by chance. The likelihood of it happening and the possibility and the probability of it happening doesn't make sense to say that, yep, that's just how it is. I'm like, no, it doesn't make sense. But that could be me just trying to connect with something. But I do think that, I play with that idea a lot sometimes, where I think about the like a creator, because I think I was saying, I was like, sometimes I wonder if maybe the creator is kind of like me in a way, where sometimes like, shit, I didn't know it was going to go this way. I was just messing around and then this happened. Or, they were like, I created it. Okay, well, I'm leaving, and then just left a long time ago. But I play with those ideas a lot. But it wasn't in our relationship. I never, like, it didn't matter to me if she was like a certain religion, just as long as she was okay with me not, being a part of something, because I think I've experienced that before, where like they're like, you got to believe this, and I'm like, well, I don't believe that. Right. So this is where it ends. But it's like, yeah, it's not important to me,
Yeah, it's not important to me that he's spiritual, because I also don't know what that means exactly, because like we're spirits. Like I don't know. Everyone is a spirit to me, and so I'm like, well, what kind of spirit are you? Do I like your spirit? That's how it to me feels, and so I feel like he's the walking embodiment of a lot of the principles that I feel are fantastic. But like, I don't know. We don't really
No.
I also, this sounds like an annoying judgment, but like I don't like a lot of masculine energies who are very outwardly spiritual. They kind of give me the heebie-jeebies a little bit. And that's probably why, like, when I created this being, I made sure they weren't super spiritual, because I would have been like,
yeah,
you creep me out. I need you to back up. I don't like that. Kind of a turn off, honestly, when like people are like super, super into.
Yeah.
Because to me, it feels like grasping for something.
I think probably another thing why I don't like it as much is it seems very authoritative. Like, you know, they're trying to control you and as if they know everything. And I'm not into that. I kind of just, I think we've talked about this before, where my whole belief is that like everybody should do what they want to do, but just do it over there. Like, I don't want people to ever tell me how to live my life, or, you know, you shouldn't be doing this. I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care. Like, leave me alone. Like, I want to be happy on my own, you know, just let me be happy. And that's kind of that's like my motto of like, you know, if people who are super religious and they're happy, cool, just don't hurt nobody else, or don't, you know, just let people do their own thing and let them live and be in peace. You know, that's like my big thing.
I think we're the same in that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Next question. How do you share your insecurities with each other and avoid projecting them?
Oof.
So, do you want to start?
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I feel like this relationship is like the best relationship I've ever been in, because I had a lot of trauma growing up as a child, dealing with like my parents and just like a lot of different things going on. And I've been in a lot of well, I say a lot, it's not really a lot, but I've been in relationships where this is the first relationship I'll say that I felt secure enough and safe enough to, you know, bring my walls down of my insecurities and talk to her, because like watching how she is and like her thoughts and what she believes in, and like just how she carries herself, kind of like she made a safe space for me to be able to be vulnerable, you know? And like a lot of the relationships that I was in, it wasn't like that. Like, I felt like I had to be the man of the relationship and I had to carry a certain type of way. But like with her, you know, she like, I think what fascinated me the most is like, sometimes like I think I'd be somewhere and like she would feel an emotion and just start crying, and I'd be like, what is happening here? Like, this is crazy. Like, you know, mostly because for me, what I would do in situations like that, I'd be like, well, if I felt sad or if I was going to cry, I would wait and hold it in until I got somewhere by myself and then express that emotion. And she was the opposite, where she was like, well, no, this is what I'm feeling. And then it would just come out, and then she'd be like, okay. And I'd be like, this is really crazy. And then I think like, I just felt safe around her, to where like, if I had a rough day or if I talked about stuff that was very traumatic to me, like I could cry to her, like cry, like, and be okay without being judged. And I think that was the main thing. And yeah, like I think you just had this sort of like feeling of like it's okay to feel these emotions versus like, you know, putting them off or hiding them and stuff.
Yeah, and I feel like I felt safe, or I feel safe with him. So whenever I feel an insecurity that comes up that I feel like is big enough that it's not just my business anymore, and it's like it's big enough to where I can't get it out of the side of the corner of my eye, I'm like, I got it, I'm saying it. And I'm just like, ah. And he's like, okay. Suddenly you said something, okay. But I feel safe to express it. Yeah, and I guess that brings me to another question that's somewhere else. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. What happens when you notice the vibe is off between you, and how do you restore it? So, when the vibe is off between us, it's because of me. and I want everyone listening, not just like feminine energies, but like everyone listening, to consider that every time the vibe is off, it's because of you. And that sounds, people are gonna be like, that's gaslighting yourself, but anytime the vibe is off, it's because of me. And he could probably say the same thing to himself, where like he's like, maybe I'm feeling the type of way and I'm projecting something onto this person. But when the vibe is off, it's because my vibe is off, and I'm looking at him through the eyes of someone whose vibes is off. And it's wild, because I can see how my perception towards him changes depending on how I'm feeling and like my vibe. And so the way that I restore it is by letting myself know, you are creating something. Like, you're creating an issue, you're creating a problem, you are literally projecting your weird vibes inside onto this situation. And so I let myself be in a weird vibe. I let myself like feel the way towards him that I'm feeling if it's weird. Or like if I feel like his energy is weird, I will ask if I feel like it's very obvious that his energy is weird. Like if it feels like his tone is very obviously different, or it feels like just the mood is weird, or the like it's like too big to ignore, then I'm like, what's up? What's going on? And then I'll have him let me know what's happening inside of him if he wants to talk about it. But for the most part, restoring it means that I just need to feel my weirdness and then know that I'm gonna not feel weird in either like 4 hours and wait it out. That's yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing that I've learned in a relationship is like, you like you feel a lot more than I feel, because sometimes like I guess maybe I'm really good at sometimes blocking certain things. I'm like, well, no, this isn't rational for me to feel right now. Like I've noticed sometimes is like, because like I think what I used to do, and sometimes I still do now, is when you're feeling type of way, I always feel like, okay, what did I do wrong? Like, what did I say, or what did I not say, or I'll feel that type of way. But then in the relationship, I've been like, well, no, sometimes she might feel something, and it's just she's going through something, or she's just feeling something. She had a thought or something like that, and I'll have to try to be like, okay, listen, like these emotions that you're feeling, like they're not yours, they're hers that she's just been going through. So just you have to carry on and just remind yourself that these aren't your feelings, or you didn't do anything wrong. Because I guess I have sometimes the problem. I wouldn't say it's a problem. It's just something that I do. Is like sometimes when someone's feeling something, like I carry it and I take it and I hold on to it and it stays in there. And so like if you're feeling sad, I start to get sad, and I'm like, I feel really sad.
See, I have a theory about this.
Oh, you do?
Yes. I've talked to you about it because I'm like, I feel like you might be feeling slightly sad, and then I catch your slight sadness and make it way bigger.
Yeah, I could see that.
And I'm like, I'm feeling a spirit of sadness. And then I take it and I make it huge. And then at some point you'll ask me like, what's wrong? And then I'm like, everything sucks and I'm sad. And then you'll get sad after you ask me to express out what's happening.
Yeah, I think that's what happens, because then I think I have a problem. My mind starts to run through of everything like that's happened, and like, where did I mess up? And then I could be like, oh, it's probably this and it's my fault. And then I get sad. And so I have to be careful, because sometimes my brain runs through all these scenarios. Like I almost go through like 3 different lives thinking about what's going to happen afterwards. And it's exhausting. And like, and I feel really sad. But then like the way that I kind of feel like I let her go through all that and like feel all that, the same way as like I tell her, I'm like, listen, like if I'm upset at something, I'm like, let me be upset and let me rage real quick over here. And let me just get this, frustration or anger or sadness out. And then like, it'll be fine, like in a few hours or, 20 minutes or something. It's just feeling that emotion. But I know for me, I have to be careful, because sometimes I'll take it on as if it's my own,
Yeah.
And, I'm not like, I'll be sad. And so, but I guess sometimes I'm still learning how to manage that and like not take it on. So,
yeah. I think you start to try to explain why I'm sad. And then I think that's when it gets weird.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I caught a vibe and I'm carrying that vibe big.
It's probably what happens, I think, is like, I don't think it's a man and woman type of thing. I think it's like a person thing where I'm more so, I try to be a problem solver. So I'm what's the problem? Okay, how do I fix it and make it better? When sometimes you just can't. And then what happens is I get kind of devastated that I can't fix the problem. And like, it's like, what do you mean I can't solve this issue? Like, why can't I save her from these feelings, And when in reality, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just, she has to feel them, and I have to like, let it go. That's just a part of it,
Yeah. And I guess for me, like, I'm really grateful to human design, because he's emotionally defined and I'm not emotionally defined. And so when I learned about that, and the fact that like, I can take and reflect emotions huge when someone's feeling them, make it a lot bigger. What's really helpful is then I'll talk to myself for a second, and I'm like, if I can tell he's feeling something and I can feel myself about to like take responsibility for it, I'll stop myself. And I'm like, that's not my business. It's not my business. It's not my problem. And that can sound like selfish, but like, it's really not my business most of the time. I'd say 97% of the time it's not my business. Like whatever's he's experiencing emotionally. Of course, I want him to like be able to talk to me about it and like express himself, but it's not my job to solve his feelings or resolve them or anything. It's just gonna feel it for however long it takes, even when I feel like it's taking a long time. But yeah, that's how we deal with like vibes being strange and weird, because it's very, we're both water signs also. It's like it's a very like vibey thing and not always like explainable with words. Someone else asked how we repair after disagreements or difficult conversations, and I'm like, it's really the same thing. It's just like giving responsibility back to him and him giving responsibility back to me and me taking full responsibility for whatever's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I almost feel like what happens in disagreements, like, because I think in the beginning I used to get shocked. I'd be like, "What?" like that, and then I'd be like, "Oh, okay, this is how it is, whatever," and then just keep it moving. And so, like I think one thing that I'm working in disagreements, I try to just prepare myself for like the possibilities of what could happen with the disagreements or like everything, and then afterwards, like what always comes back to my head is like, this is how this person is, and you can't control the person. This is how they are, so accept it or leave it. And so I'm like, okay, well, this is how it is, okay, and just keep it moving, because most of the time I ask myself after the disagreement, like I ask myself, how important is this? Does this really matter in the relationship? And then I go, no, this doesn't really matter. And then I just keep it moving, because I'm like, well, no, this doesn't play a big impact in how I guess what I view my relationship. You just keep it moving,
Yeah. And so someone asked something about, I can't find the question, but they were like, oh wait, is it here? Where are you? There it is. How can you tell the difference between someone gaslighting you and you gaslighting yourself? So I don't think about that in relationships. I'm not constantly trying to figure out if I'm being gaslighted or if I'm gaslighting myself. I feel like that's maybe not for everyone, but for me, it's a waste of time to always be trying to figure out if I'm being gaslighted or not.
Yeah.
What helps me is my standard being met. Am I like, everything that's important to me, is that being done? Like everything that I value in a relationship, is that happening? Am I being disrespected? Am I being abused? Like there's certain standards that I have, and if they're being met, then I'm not thinking about anything else. Like I don't want to have to try to like figure it out. But that's like with everything in my reality. I'm like, is my standard being met? Yeah, all right, bet. Then
yeah, that's really interesting, because I think for me, the way that I look at it is I trust her completely. But then so I think what happens is most of the time is like, well, I trust that she would lead me down. She wouldn't lead me down the wrong way. And so I put my trust in her. But at the same time, I also look at her objectively and I go, what type of person is she? Besides being my partner, I look at her as a person, as an individual. And I go, if another person, knew this person, would they think like, yeah, this person, is trustworthy? Are they, nice? Are they, honest and stuff? And so whenever it comes to like certain things, like I'm always paying attention to her, because she doesn't do things that would make me second guess, how like what she tells me, what if I'm asking her questions or something. And so, because like sometimes I've learned from relationships, it's like sometimes we kind of look at people in these rose-colored tinted glasses, and people kind of ignore those red flags, which I've done in the past. But then you have to like separate the person from them being your partner and just look at them as a person by themselves. And then ask yourself, is this person really trustworthy? And some people, they can't really accept it and they kind of just avoid it, versus like being like, yeah, this person, gaslights people, Yeah. And so, yeah, but I trust. That's the thing,
Next question. Do you ever feel trapped or suffocated in your relationship?
I don't think I feel trapped or suffocated. Because I think I remember in the beginning of the relationship, I made it for sure. Like I would tell her, like, listen, I don't know if I told you, I'd be like, I don't like people being up under me. Like I still want to be an individual and be free, not free to say, but
you said it so much that I thought I was doing that. I'm like, excuse me,
No, I think what it is. Yeah, no, I think it's because like I've been in a relationship and I'm like, well, hey, I want to go do things. Like I want to go to the gym, or like I like my space. Like, sometimes I need to be alone because that's where I do most of my thinking and my recharging and my processing. Yeah. And so, I don't, and she has a good balance of that to where
it's so funny because he was saying it so much in the beginning that like, because he has a tendency to like say things that he doesn't want to happen. And for me, I'm like, if you're saying the things you don't want to happen, it doesn't mean it's happening. Like, is that because I'm like, then why are you saying it? I don't understand. So then for me, I backed off. Like, I was like, you want space? I love space. So I'll go away. And so you were kind of like, okay, like that's not space.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? But it's because you were just like, I love space. I love space. And I'm like, okay, damn.
And I think probably what it has to do, I was trying to prevent from, because I have an issue with authority. I don't like, I've been in previous relationships where like my partner, they would try to be like, make me into the person that they found ideal versus rather than accepting me for who I am and who I was. And so I was like, just want to let you know, you can't control me. Like, you know, and so, cause like I was the same way. Cause like, I don't like to control people or like, you know, I'm like, well, what do you know, you do you, and like, we'll be in this together, you know?
Yeah.
And so I want to be able to still be in a relationship, but also still have my own identity.
Absolutely.
So
that's a big part of us being together, is that we are two separate individuals next to each other. That's very important to me. We're also in human design. We're both single definition beings as well. And we have I have a lot of individual energy in my chart. He has some more tribal energy, but very individual beings. Sometimes I've talked to him about this, where I'm like, okay, like this could potentially end. And I like to not always, but I like to have the consciousness that like it could come to an end, and it's not like the end of the world if it comes to an end. And I'm like, something else could happen after that. Like we might both date other people after this. He doesn't like when I bring it up, but I just like to like let it be known that like relationships, I know a lot of people say that like, it's forever. And like for some people it's ideal that it's forever, but like that's an intense word and you never really know if it's forever, and people like to think it's forever and then it ends. And so I like to like let it be known that like forever, I don't know if forever is for me the goal. Happiness is the goal. And so if us being together is no longer making me happy, then forever is out of the picture. And so that's what helps me not feel trapped. Because I feel like if I was dedicated to the idea of forever, I would feel like, like no matter what, like even if I don't like you anymore, like, you know, because a lot of relationships are like that. Like my parents were married for a long time. They did not like each other. And that was annoying as a child. I was like, you do not fuck with each other. I don't know why you're married. I don't get it.
No, yeah, I agree with that. Because I guess my brain, the way that it goes, like, well, if you're happy in the relationship, and things start to change, there's something going on that's not being addressed. And, you know, it needs to be addressed. And I think what happens is a lot of people don't address certain things when things start to shift, like, hey, this isn't going as well, and they avoid it. And so, like, if you're comfortable here, then you have to kind of remind yourself, like, okay, well, what's making this comfortable? Why do you feel comfortable here? Why do you feel happy here? And people kind of sometimes lose sight of that. And I've been like, you know, I think what it is like sometimes you get in this this pattern where you do the same things, when some people kind of lose sight of the relationship, but that it's two people, you know. And sometimes you kind of feel like, well, I want my happiness. Well, that, you know, that's fine that you want your happiness, but at the same time, you have to remember both people have to be happy in a relationship in order for it to work, you know. You kind of, the way that I look at it is like you can still be selfish, but you can't be selfish as much because you agreed to do this thing together. You have to be a little bit selfless. And so I'm very, like, I know in the relationship, I'm very catering. I cater to you, but it's because I enjoy doing that. And I know how much it makes you happy. And so, but I still find balance to where, like, well, I still do the things that I like to do too, you know? And I think that people kind of forget that sometimes.
Yeah. Makes sense. All right. How do you navigate jealousy? You talk about it. Does it ever even come up? So for me, in my first relationship, there was a lot of, I was very jealous. My partner also like flirted with everybody in front of me constantly. So I had some jealousy issues. They were definitely based in like just me feeling insecure in general. But I think before I got into the relationship with him, I developed a lot more self-security, partially because of like the fact that I was about to die. Like, and I didn't give a fuck about anything. It was like, I don't recommend this to everyone, but like being about to die, like almost feeling like the world is ending actually is a really great way to like stop caring about a lot of stuff that doesn't matter. And so like jealousy hardly comes up for me in our relationship. And if it does, it's like this little like, meh, and then I laugh about it immediately. It's like, you're funny. And then I don't care. And I play with him about it too, where I'm like, was being real nice to you. But then at the same time, I'm like, okay, like, I don't know. It's just funny to me now.
That's interesting because like I never noticed any of these things because I'm just like my brain. So this is what happened. Like when I was single, I was like, okay, this is open season, whatever. It's like whatever. Like I'm single. But as soon as what happened when we got in a relationship, I was like, boop, I just kind of blocked out everybody else, and I was like, this is my person, this is my partner, you know. And I tend to be I can be a little jealous. Like if like some dude like looks at her, I'm like, hey, don't look at her like that. That's my part. Leave her alone. Like, you know, because I'm just like, get your eyes over there. You know, I get very jealous because I'm like, this is mine. Be respectful and respect this line right here. So get your ass over there. And so I do get like that, but I try to internalize it because I don't want to be like, you know, I don't want to start nothing or nothing like that. But I just tell myself, well, no, I trust her and she's with me, you know? So, cause she doesn't do anything like that, any foul, anything like that. But I do get jealous just because I know I'm very, I don't like to share at all. I don't like sharing my food, even like, I don't like sharing my partner. I don't like sharing anything. And so like, I'm very like, I wouldn't say maybe territorial, but sometimes like I'll be like, we'll be out and I know she's like gorgeous and beautiful and everything. And so I'm like, if she's looking good, I'm like, these motherfuckers about to look. And I'm like, at the end of the day, I just go, I'm like, well, at the end of the day, she's with me. You know, she's my partner and we have this great relationship. And so I just kind of be like, I just go, well, there's no problem here because I trust her, you know?
Yeah. And to me, I'm like, people looking, I feel like I look at beautiful things all the time. Everything is art. And so if I'm looking scrumptious or if he's looking fantastic, then I'm like, of course we're going to get looked at. Like art.
It's real funny because like, I guess she looks at it, but me, I don't ever think of myself as like looking attractive or anything like that. I'm just like, no, I'm just the guy. Like nobody's looking at me at all.
Everything is art.
That's funny because
your beautiful face.
Thank you. I you know, whatever. But my thing is like, everything's art, but just don't look at this art piece.
Oh my God.
You know, like leave her alone.
That's not gonna work. But yeah, but in human design also I'm observed. So like if I go out naturally, people are designed to orient their perspective in my direction. It's in my chart. Next question. It's funny. Perfect question. Would love to hear your thoughts on monogamy / polyamory or polygamy, which polygamy would be like one man and then other partners, I think. Or whatever. Husbands,
I can start this one out.
Okay.
No, okay, so I believe in the monogamy. I don't believe in polygamy. For me. Polyamory. I don't believe in polyamory for myself at all. I know who I am as a person, as an individual, as a man. I just don't believe in it. Now, if it floats your boat, cool. Keep that boat in that ocean over there. You know, I'm over here chilling. I don't, bring it around me or, which, it is what it is. But because like there's parts of me, I just get suspicious of it where it's one man. It doesn't make sense that it's one man. I almost feel like
it's not always one man.
Oh, well, it just like at first it seemed like a man created that also, to kind of take advantage.
It's not just straight people who are in polyamorous relationships. I'm queer and a lot of my friends are queer and like there's a lot of queer polyamorous relationships as well.
Yeah, I think for me it's like it just doesn't, I don't connect with it at all because it goes back to what I said earlier. I don't like sharing. Like I don't want to share with anyone. And I only want to share with you and I don't want some other random person to come in. It makes me feel uncomfortable because to be like, it almost feels
you're monogamous.
Yeah, I'm monogamous. And my idea, and this could also stem from like what my parents sort of like planted the seed in my head of the idea of what love is and stuff like that. And also movies and media and stuff. But to me, it was just between just two people. Now, but at the same time, as I say that, there are a lot of people who just can't do that and they need, 3, 4, 5 people or however many it is. And that's their thing. But for me, I know I don't believe in I was about to say polygamy, polyamory at all, just because I think I know the feelings that I would have, knowing that if I was with you, but then somebody else was in there, I'd be like, hold on, this ain't right. Like I know I would get jealous, and I'd be like, oh no, this is gonna be over. And so I think I remember saying that at the beginning too. Like when we first started talking about that, I was like, nope,
Yeah, we've had several conversations about just the general idea.
I want nothing to do with it.
I don't believe I'm a polyamorous person because I like monogamy. Monogamy is nice and it's simple and it like my life is there's so many things happening in my life and I would like my relationship to be like a place that's simple and like I just want to exist in my relationship and it's like cool. I'm home existing. I don't need to. So for me, polyamory, I feel like would be me playing a new game, sort of. Like I like to think of challenges or things as new things, as mini games inside of this game that we're playing. And so I think before when I was dating was a fun game. But then like when we got together, it stopped really being like this game that was happening because I was just like, oh, I don't need to play this anymore. It's kind of just doing its thing. It's just doing the thing. It's like breathing now. And so polyamory might be a little more work than I am willing to invest in. Mm-hmm. Absolutely not against it. If we ever break up, I might let's see if I feel more secure in like, I don't know, something else. Like I'm not thinking about, I don't know, business creation and I might be, maybe business is on autopilot and it's like, it becomes more of that. That's my home. That's my simplicity. Then maybe I'll turn that into an experience to be had. But yeah, I'm not.
I think probably the main reason why I think I don't believe in it is because it's so hard to make it work with two people when you add more people. Yeah, I think it is hard. Yeah, I think it is hard because I think that's just comes with it. Like I don't think there are things that are easy, but then there's also things that are hard, and I think then there's things that are in between. So all this to me, what I believe in the philosophy of life is all this has to coexist because you can't have one thing and not the other because it's unbalanced to me, what I view. And so and then plus I think because when you think about it, when you break down a person has all these experiences, all these emotions, all these ideals and values and stuff. And when you bring another one, you're like, okay, how, accept me as I am. And then also bringing another person or however many more people are in there. It's like trying to make it to where like we're all in this agreement together that we are all individuals. Because most of the time I feel like the way that I see, and I don't want to like say it, but like sometimes I see polyamory seems like one person is like the head of the thing and everybody else is just under them versus being on the same level as like, okay, we're all in agreement that we're all individuals together in this thing.
I've seen more of the second.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen the second one at all. It always seems like it's a guy who's.
But I live in queer land where everyone is queer and it's not the same.
True.
But
nothing against it if you're into that. But I just know I could never be into it. So.
Yeah, but I feel like just, I don't know, relationships are very simple for me. Like it's I feel like once I went through that thing, that like sickness or whatever, relationships with like a person one-on-one, it's just like, okay, I don't know. I don't think it's not hard for me. So it's really interesting that it's hard for you. Cause I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like being alive.
And that's interesting. But I mean, I think my whole belief, the reason why I believe is because of how I see life. Life is like a game, like where you have to like level up and you have to like gain this experience and gain this knowledge. And sometimes there's going to be obstacles that you're going to have to level up yourself, And so, but that's just how I view it. Cause I know you view it differently. So, there's certain things that are going to be difficult in your life, whether the difficult be something as simple as like, you might have to go to the DMV for 2 hours and that sucks, or versus like some crazy traumatic stuff happen, Yeah. So
that makes sense though. Cause like, I'm someone who doesn't believe that things have to be hard. That's actually a very big part of my existence is that like ease is my thing. And I'm like, if it's hard, I'm dropping it. I don't like doing things that are hard. I don't enjoy that. But also in human design, I have an undefined root. And so like pressure and challenge, I'm like, why would we do that?
Yeah. And I don't mind it. It's actually, I don't mind it because like I think I enjoy like I guess that whole like earning my keep type of thing, and to feel like good after, and sometimes I like the other way too, but I think sometimes I don't feel like I've earned it if it just came to me easy.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I was telling someone, I'm like, I could be a very hard person to be in a relationship with because I don't make any sense. I realize to people because like the other day you were trying to figure out, it was a while back, you were like, what do you like doing? And I'm I don't know.
And like I thought that was so interesting because I asked like, like I enjoy playing video games, I enjoy going to the gym, I enjoy going to the movies, and I was like, well, what do you enjoy? What activities do you enjoy doing? And she's like, I don't know. And I was like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, or you would no. You said, well, I don't know, just whatever I'm in the mood for. And I'm like, what does that mean? It depends on my mood. But I was like, well, I couldn't figure out like, well, what are those activities? Because there are things that put me in a good mood, like going to the movies and escaping reality for like an hour and two. That I enjoy that experience, Same thing with video games, where sometimes I'm like, I enjoy going into this other world, or going to the gym. I enjoy, going through this rigorous like exercises and lifting weights because you like come out feeling stronger. Or I enjoy a root beer or like an icy because I'm like, wow, this is amazing every now and then,
Which is cool. I like that like math equation-y type energy where it's like you plug this in, you get that.
Well, I think I know one thing that you like.
What?
Massages. You like going to get a massage.
I do like massages, but then if I'm in a bad mood and I get a massage and I get a person who doesn't do it well.
What if you get like your favorite person that does a massage and you're in a bad mood?
But I'm probably already in a good mood. Okay, so to me, I feel like my moods create my experience.
I could see that. That makes sense. And that's what I think for me, it's like my experiences create my moods. And so like if somebody was like, if I'm in a bad mood, so like, hey, I got us 2 tickets to go to Six Flags. I'm like, oh, bet. Like, let's go. Like, I'm excited, even though I was in a bad mood. I'm excited to go do that,
If I'm in a bad mood and you give me two tickets to Six Flags, I'm like, I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna get on the roller coaster and fucking die. Something like that. I'm gonna have a terrible time.
And I'll be like, I'm just gonna take somebody else.
Be like, you should. I want to lay down and stare at the sky.
That's fun.
But yeah, it all depends on me.
Okay. Do you want to do one more? Or
yeah, one more.
One more question.
Let's see. What is the last one?
Wheel of Fortune.
What most impresses you about each other?
Oh.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I like the way his brain works. It fascinates me.
I'm in a zoo in a cage being up to now.
No, it's like an organized file folder system.
It's
insane.
It's like, that episode of SpongeBob where they go into his brain and he's like, what's his name? What's his name? And so like basically I have a bunch of like organizers in there where I put stuff in. But it's not, sometimes it gets that crazy where people are like fires burning down, but then most of the time it's like, it's a normal office. It's
crazy. I just, the way that he is able to, and he's like always thinking ahead and what not like he's always planning things. Like I don't know. Your brain organizes and plans things immediately.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. It blows my mind. I like it. I think it's really cool. And so that logic and intellect is very impressive to me. I see it also when we play certain games. Like, I watched him play this game called Portal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Love that
game. If y'all have never seen that game before, that game is crazy. That game is so crazy.
It's really good problem solving.
But he's just like, yeah, I got to do that. And I'm like, excuse me. Excuse me, because you looked at that for 1 second, and there's 4 steps between that thing and that other thing. How did you consciously become aware of the 4 steps that had to happen between this thing and that thing? I don't understand, because all I did is look at the screen and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to do. I'm just going to press buttons and then see what happens. But like, I feel like the game Portal, you have to specifically look at the game Portal to understand what I'm saying, because that game is wild. A really great game.
If you've never played it, it's a really great game. I think it's because I look at everything kind of like a game in a way. Because like in there, you kind of be like, well, what is this for? What is, it's almost like a tutorial and stuff. And once I know what everything does, I'm like, okay, now let's put it together. And then this causes this, and it's experimenting. I think the same way that you said that, you're big on making your life easier, like it's just easy. In order for me to make my life easier, I have to plan it. Because I've been in many situations where, like, if I'm working on something with people and nobody plans, I'm like, this is gonna be horrible, and this is gonna suck because nobody knows what they're doing, and so I have to organize it in order to make things go smoothly.
Yeah.
So
I'm very used to your planning now. I remember when we did the shoot. I don't think you planned as much as you normally plan that video shoot.
oh yeah.
And that it was like weird for me because I'm so used to him like
Yeah,
planning, organizing now, so that when it doesn't happen as much, I'm like,
yeah, I had to figure it out on the fly, in which it ended up working out.
I don't know if I enjoy when he's figuring things out on the fly.
Well, I think it's because like we never went to the location, and so I'm just going off based off pictures, and I was like, okay, I know the vague idea. Now I need to figure out the missing pieces to make the bridges connect, and so it takes a little bit, and then I take in the fact of how everybody's feeling and how they're looking, and I'm like, oh God, and so it's tough. But I was gonna say the thing that I think I'm impressed about with you the most is I'm impressed with how you just do life. Like I remember when we first started dating, of like how you like seeing the transition from you taking like this human design thing and then taking it to where you're taking it now. Like it's wild because I remember before everything happened and the trajectory of like you were just like, whoop, this is what I'm gonna do, and this is what I'm offering, and this is how it's gonna go. And I was like, okay, seeing it, you spoke with some sort of like you spoke with some assurance. Like you're like, yep, this is how it's gonna happen. And I'm like, how do you do that? Like I try to do that, but it doesn't work. Like mine, I have to build some things first before I can even get there. But with you, you're like, well, this is what it is, guys. And people are like, okay, that's what's going on. And I'm like, what? Like, it's crazy to see like how far it's gone and it's going. And like, it fascinates me because I don't understand how it works. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And maybe it never will. But like it's the same way how like you were telling me, I think one time I was like, you were talking about your art and you're like, you know, I use Illustrator, but I don't use it the conventional way. I just do a bunch of things. And I think one time I saw you and I was like, I don't know what you're doing. Like, this is like wild to me. And like how you create these pieces and stuff. And I was just like, I was like, how does this work? You know? And it's like, it's wild how you do all these things. And then you kind of like have this thing where you just say something's going to happen and then it happens. And I'm like, how does that work? You know?
How it works.
It doesn't make sense to me that's how it works in my world. It doesn't make sense to that. You know, that's not how things work in my world. And so to see someone else and like I said, see the growth, I'm like, yo, this is wild, because I think you were talking about a long time ago, you were saying, you know, I don't enjoy working hard. But when I look at you, I'm like, this looks like hard work. Like you're working really hard. From the outside looking in, it looks like hard work. That's what I'm like, wow, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that. But then maybe it's just like for you, it isn't, you know, you're just like, this is what's going on.
Thumbs up. And then I'm like, fun.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And like, it just fascinates me of all the things that you do and how you connect with people. That's like the real fascinating thing, that because it's real, because you can tell when you're talking to people, like how people connect with you, you know, and like, it's just fascinating. Like how you can do all that and just be like, all right, this is what it is. Like, I don't understand, you know? And it's just, you know, something that I think I learned. I'm like, well, it's just something to admire and just be like, wow, okay, this is how this person.
Exactly. That's when I'm looking at you, I'm like, I don't get it, but
yeah,
I like this. This is nice to watch. I don't understand how this is happening,
yeah.
but okay.
Exactly. You know, it is what it is. So.
Yeah. Well, the episode. I don't know how I close episodes every time. I forget. I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. Ooh, what are you doing? How can people contact you if you like his vibe?
Oh man, so funny. I'm very elusive.
You're trying to be part of our polyamory.
No, shut that down right now. No polyamory. Sorry, nothing against those who do it, but not here. Not here. Not here. Yeah, if you want to follow me, hello. I apologize if I don't talk, like if people have DM'd me before and I don't
Wait, I want to talk about this.
Okay.
So my followers, y'all you a little spiritual. And sometimes like he'll get like a comment in a DM and he's like, what does this mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I don't like so here's the thing. I don't like, this has nothing against people or anything like that. I have a hard time talking to people and socializing. I'm very introverted, and I have sometimes when people reach out to me and talk to me and they send messages, I just ignore them because I'm like, what is going on? Like, and it's nothing against the person. It's just more so
personal.
It's not personal. It's just like, what? Like, why? Like, I think what it is, it's hard. Sometimes I want to be seen, but most of the time I don't want to be seen. I just want to be like, I'm over here chilling. Leave me alone. And so, but it's hilarious. But if you want to follow me, it's fine. You can follow me. I might put an emoji of a hand waving or something. Follow me at It's Easy L. That's ITS Easy EASYELL. That's like I sing, produce, do music. I also have a photography and mixing page. So like Elmatic, ELLMATIK. That's like has some of my photography, has my website if you want to book me for a shoot. The20second.com, which is THA22ND, the20second.com. You can book a shoot. Or if you're a podcaster, I mix podcast episodes and I have a bunch of different options available on my website at the20second.com. And there's at the top, it's like a podcast mixing, and you can look at options if you're needing someone to make your podcast sound great. Because I do mix this podcast, my podcast, and then the one that I do with my friend Jetty, Not All Hair podcast.
So what I have coming up, let's see. I have a membership group now. Oh, cool. So we did a timeline jump today, literally like right before this, we did a timeline jump. And so in the membership group, there's two sections. There is the maintenance group, and this is going to be random IG like check-ins on my close friends, just kind of helping to like remind you who you're being, because over here that reality responds to who you're being. So those type of check-ins are happening on there. And then 1 week a month after the group timeline jump that happens in Calibrate, the other membership, I'll be doing daily check-ins on my close friends, just checking in with like who you're being and all that jazz. So that's it. I have the two tiers, and like everything that they're about is on my website if you click the little membership button. And then timeline jumping tour guides is going to be coming up soon as well. I just need to figure out like when I'm going to be excited about doing that. That's like that's how I launch things. I'm like, when am I going to actually feel like woo about this? Right now I'm not feeling woo about it, so it's gonna come eventually when I'm excited about it. But the next thing I'm excited about is my mentorship group. That's a 4-week group that's starting October 19th. So if you want to be mentored by me and you get the weird way my brain works, or it resonates with you, it's gonna be all about creating't because I'm an artist and I understand how to create things. That's just how I'm built. And so I look at my reality like I'm creating art. And so if you would like to learn under my mentorship, art creation, but reality creation, that is going to be what the membership's all about. It's 4 weeks. There's 2 sessions, 2 group sessions a week. That's all I got. Okay, bye.
Bye.